Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. Alyssa Corum and Ed Carson here to break down the action in today's session. Some positive action on the major indexes, and we also have a couple of stocks that we're going to update you on, including one stock that didn't have quite the best reaction to earnings. At least its close was not that great, Ed.
Yeah, ZoomInfo lived up to its name at the start, but then it faded pretty quickly. Steel Dynamics showed some steel once again, and then we're also taking a look at the Homebuilder ETF XHB.
Okay, talk about that play. We will first look at the major indexes. Here's a look at the NASDAQ, which gained about 0.6% for the day. We also had the S&P 500 up 0.8%. Same for the Dow. The Russell 2000 small caps lagging a little bit, up for the day though, up about 0.2%. So nice, Ed, to see this upside reversal for the NASDAQ at the 21-day line.
Yeah, that's nice to see. It's really pretty good action, at least for the indexes. The NASDAQ, Dow, and S&P all found support around their 21-day lines, all rising modestly. So you don't have to worry about them getting extended. Not that you had to worry too much about the Dow or S&P, but they're all sort of trading in a modest increase. Provides a nice backdrop that hopefully that the individual stocks can rally off of that as well. Hopefully, stocks that outperform.
Yeah, still weakness for the Russell 2000. So the IWM ETF up about 0.2% for the day. So hitting resistance at the 50-day. What do you make of the action?
Yeah, I mean, it's off the lows, so it's not the worst, but that's sort of indicative of the breadth. It's a little better, but not great. And now it's hitting resistance at the 21-day line. It's the third straight day just below that. So I have to see if it can even get above that short-term level before it can make a move on the 50.
Okay, and ZoomInfo did zoom right out of the gate, Ed, on its earnings report, breaking out above 60. Strong gain to start the day, but it did not close strongly, up only 3% for the day after a pretty sizable gain to start off the session. So this is one reason why, again, you don't want to have knee-jerk reactions on the downside and the upside as well, because if you got in right out of the gate here, not a good close, and you would be not doing too well in your position.
Yeah, I'd like to say wait a few minutes, maybe even the first half hour before jumping in. I mean, yes, that's going to mean at times you'll miss out. A stock will break out and then it'll just keep running and it gets so far extended that you just cannot buy it. But and it'll save you probably more times, and that's the more important thing, is that you would have hated to buy up at 64, 63, whatever it got to, and then end the day, even though it was up, even though the stock is up 3%. I mean, if you're down 8, 9, 10%, you have to sell even on a winning day for the stock, and that's just not, you don't ever want to be in a situation like that.
Right. And as we mentioned on IB Live this morning, ZoomInfo comes from the enterprise software industry group, and we've seen leadership elsewhere in the group. So if you already had exposure maybe to DocuSign and or Shopify, maybe even other software sub-industry groups, would you want to be going with ZoomInfo, which hadn't been showing quite the same power as some of the leaders in the group?
I think that's a good point. I remember you bringing that up on IBD Live, that you don't want to get too concentrated. That's one thing that we've had for a lot of it. And now we actually have an opportunity to find other stocks that aren't just in software or tech. And so you probably want to have some diversity in your leadership.
Okay, well, speaking of diversity, steel stocks back in the spotlight. Steel Dynamics broke out of a double bottom base not all too long ago, and now reversing higher today, putting it back solidly in the buy zone here, Ed.
It was pretty nice action. It broke out, then pulled back lightly, and then came down, sort of getting close to the 50-day line. So it actually closed below the buy point on Monday, but just barely after running up quite a bit. Nice action here. Nice, coming back. It isn't the most powerful volume, but just finding support where you'd like it to, around the buy point, around the 50-day line. We saw a few stocks like this. The steel stocks did well. This is why we talk about finding leading stocks in a positive market. The market rallied, the group rallied. Well, it's not that surprising that Steel Dynamics rallied as well. So that's why we talk about those things. This is the number 5 group out of 197. So You're not like just going down rent. You're not going down market by buying a steel stock in this particular market.
Now, sometimes when you're seeing strength in an industry group, sometimes a good way to play that is with an ETF. So let's go ahead and take a look at the XHB Homebuilder ETF with a nice day up 1.7%, clearing a 75.87 buy point.
Yeah, you could talk about that in 75.87. They were sort of 74.61. You could use this the 10-week line. However you do it, you could sort of just get into this area and still take a position or start a position. At this point, it's like now 4.5% or so above the 10-week line, still in range. And this gets you, because a lot of the housing stocks can go up and down, and not just the home builders. This is actually not really a home builders index. It's a housing.
That's true.
This will be everything. This is a one-stop shop because its number one holding is Floor and Decor. Home Depot is a big holding. It has plenty of home builders in it as well, but Floor and Decor is broken out. But you have earnings risk in a couple of days. I mean, you would have broken out. Home Depot, well, its earnings are coming up, but it has, it's acting well. Lennar, which did have earnings relatively recently, or actually, a number of other builders did. It had it a couple, like several weeks ago. It's moving up the right side of the base, but is it a buy? Not really right now. It's sort of in between some entry points. So it's a way to sort of play this sector without having to take that individual stock or even group risk.
Yeah. And some out there might be like, well, why aren't you waiting for the breakout to new highs? Well, we've often been saying if you can find an entry lower in the base, look at a lower resistance level, size it off of the 10-week line. That sets you up for some nice cushion if and when you do see a breakout to new highs, and might help prevent you from getting shaken out.
Yeah, and you can add to it. You don't have to go all in. If you don't want to, you say like, I'm going to take a starter position just so I get a little bit of a starter point. And then if it breaks out, you can add a little bit to it, but not, be so extended after running up. Say if it ran up from 70 to 80 pretty quickly, almost be ripe for a pullback. So I think that's early entries have been what has been working more successfully in the last few months.
Yes. Well, we will keep tabs on XHB. That is it for today, everyone. If you're a leaderboard subscriber or trialist, make sure you head on over to leaderboard.investors.com. Here shortly, we will be having our monthly leaderboard scorecard webinar. I almost said swing trader, but that one's on Thursday. But today we have leaderboard, and we'll be talking about our performance for the month, what's working. It'll be an interesting conversation, and we can't wait to see you all there. So thanks, Ed, and we'll see everyone back here tomorrow.